We have Amy Simon today from the School of Business and Industry, and she is going to talk to everyone about using publisher content and publisher material in your course packages and that sort of thing. So we're glad to have her. And Amy, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Do y'all hear a lot of feedback? Okay, it's better. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I don't know that I'm definitely no expert in this. So I really don't know why Chris asked me, but it was a kind gesture. And hopefully I can just share some, very simple tactics that I use, and maybe they can help you going forward, whether you're building, a hybrid online class or you're just responding to the COVID-19 situation that we have going on. So hopefully some of this will help you, especially if you employ publisher content. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share. Actually, I'm going to share my screen. Typically, I would just share my PowerPoint, but there are a couple things outside PowerPoint that I'm going to go to. So I'm actually going to share my screen, which, by the way, plug for Chris. If you haven't enrolled in his certified online instructor course, do that. I learned so many helpful tips here on Teams about how I can actually just share the PowerPoint itself in our Teams conversation, or I can share my whole screen. But I'm going to go with the option of sharing my whole screen. So I'll let that pick up. Chris, does everything look okay?
Yep. I can see. Yep. There's your PowerPoint.
Alrighty. I am going to get started. Okay, so welcome. Again, today we're just going to talk about publisher content use in an online nature. To me, I like to, try to keep it relational with our students, because that's where the value is. Even though we're in an online class and we may be using this pre-existing content, we want to break down some of those barriers and really form connections with our students, because, otherwise, why does JSU need you? And that kind of leads us, it's going to lead to the next slide. First, let me introduce myself properly. My name is Amy Simon. I'm currently the instructor for career prep in our School of Business and Industry. Specifically, I work in the School of Business, and I'm within the marketing management department. And what I do there, I have a couple classes that I teach focusing on the intro to business perspective, as well as business professionalism, which I'll show you in just a minute. But I have kind of a weird start. So I've actually been teaching, I just started, by the way, teaching full-time in the fall of 2019, but I've actually been teaching for about 6 years, adjunct. I actually started out in finance, which is where my initial background is. And I've been working at JSU for about 8 years. And I started off in their School of Business in what they call their Small Business Development Center. So I was a business counselor working with entrepreneurs. And while I was doing that, Dr. Scroggins, the department head for finance, economics, and accounting, had come to me and asked if I would be interested in teaching for him in the finance department. So went back to school, got some more classes, and began my initial teaching career in finance. And specifically, I worked with the class Finance 311, which is personal financial planning. And it was kind of a unique start. I don't know about y'all, but I was not used to teaching. I hadn't been trained as a teacher. I've been trained in the disciplines I was studying and hopefully teaching, but I hadn't been taught how to teach. So my first semester, I just really, I feel so bad for those students. But over the years, I've been honing and trying to do better, learning, taking classes, taking all the continuing ed I could. And I've been really working on that Finance 311 course. And it actually, it kind of started off as a hybrid where I had, typically when I first started teaching, I had about 30 students on average. And over the years, it's really, really grown in popularity. And there was a big shift for someone to teach it online. There was a big demand for that. So now my online classes, and they're still, averaging the same final grade, so it's not any easier. There's no incentive there. They have grown to about 70 students every semester, while an in-class option is also offered with roughly about 20. So the online section has become really popular. I have many students who are distance learners that aren't here at Jacksonville State, all across the nation, a lot in Georgia. So a lot of non-traditional students. So this has been a really popular class. And I've had to really work on it to get it up to par for their online expectations. And it's been a work in progress, so let me say that. But I also teach business orientation fundamentals. I teach it typically lecture style. However, with COVID-19, we've all learned to adapt and do what we need to. And another plug for Chris. Chris, hope it helps you. I don't know if you want the help, but his online instructor course, amazing, amazing. Thanks to him and that course, I've actually been able to set time aside, work on that class, check in with him, meet the weekly requirements for that certified online instructor course. And I've actually been able to build my summer 2 course online and have it approved and have it a much better product for our students. So that's been a big help. Thank you, Chris, for that. And then I also teach business professionalism, lecture style and online with COVID-19. These 2 classes, the 2 business courses, have been really hard to move online due to the number of guest speakers I have come in. And so that's been a learning part for me, just on the side note, and we'll talk about that later. But again, if we're using publisher content, why does JSU need to? That's kind of my theme for this first slide. Why does JSU need us if all we do is just use the publisher content, if we don't add anything to it? So these are kind of the things. I love George Costanza. These are kind of things what not to do, okay? We don't want to use only publisher content. We need to find something to give a value-added approach, right? And I'm sad to say, but I know of classes at JSU that do this, where the student only has to use the publisher content, and we're going to get to this in just a second. Everything's laid out in the syllabus, everything's open at the beginning of the semester. Really, there's no additional contact from the professor. So what does that give the student? What is the student gaining from this course that he or she couldn't gain on their own, right? We need to think about that way. And why does JSU need you if that's all you're going to do? If nothing else, think of it selfishly. Think of it from your job security standpoint, okay, guys? So again, we don't want to just use publisher content. We don't want to just lay out the responsibilities in the syllabus and say, here you go, have at it. We don't want them to say, only come to me when you have a problem. No, we need to be proactive. We need to be engaging. Even if it's just sending out mass announcements that might relate to a problem the student's having, or even just, how are you doing? Keep in touch. Let me know. I'm here to help. So that type of approach, we really want to create a relationship to break down those online barriers. And last but not least, this is really sad, but I've even heard and know of some instructors, some professors who will use one publisher and then they end up switching in another year or 2 to a different publisher and using that content, yet they test on the first publisher. Definitely don't do that, guys. That's an easy no-no. We don't want to do that. The students need to be tested on material that they're responsible for that semester. So that seems simple and very elementary, but you would be surprised at the number of classes I've seen that implement some of these tactics. So these are things just what not to do, okay? Really just be empathetic. Think of yourself in the student's perspective. Is that what you would want as a student? No. You want something else, something added, something to make it valuable to help retain that material. And so that empathy is really big to me because it's kind of funny. I've ended up as a big online teacher because as a student, I avoided online. I never took a single online course. I always had the mentality that, I'm having to teach myself, I'm having to pay more. Why would I ever take an online class? But there's a huge market at our university for these online classes. And we need to be real empathetic for those students that are taking them. How would you want to be treated as a student in that online course? Think of it that way. One of the things I like to do, let me talk about my Finance 311, the personal financial planning course. With this course, at first I just did it traditional, my own material. Within about a year, the book reps had a new program. I was using a Cengage book. The book reps came to me and they're like, we've got this brand new online learning program. It's phenomenal. We want you to try it. And I was new and naive. And I said, okay, let's try it. We'll see how that goes. Because I can use all the help I can get, right? Well, it's been a huge learning process. The online material I use is Cengage's Mindtap. And for the first I used it for a full year, so fall, summer, and summer. I'm sorry, fall, spring, and summer. And I used it for a full year. Their program, their brand new material called Mindtap, and they had created, basically each chapter had its own assignments, responsibilities. There's nothing I could do in this version, there was nothing I could do to alter them. The students had to complete this, this, and this. I couldn't alter the points. I couldn't alter the questions on the material. And the problem was, I could have lived with that, but the problem was I found a lot of mistakes. A lot of the questions didn't relate back to the textbook or the PowerPoint, which was their only way of knowing these answers. And so I had a real problem with using the publisher content. I told my book reps, I was like, this just isn't going to work. Even though I hated to lose the ease in grading, I mean, selfishly, it was awesome to be able to grade and work on this platform. In theory, it would have been amazing. However, in actuality, it wasn't. And so I was actually, I was going to drop it altogether. And I thought, let me try something else. And I'm kind of old-fashioned. I'm an old-fashioned typical learner. I thought I really enjoy using some of the back of the book problems. And in this class, we have a lot of math. So kind of think of it as that type of course, very heavy in math. And so I found a way using Mindtap to get rid of their new and amazing program and actually assign them the end of the chapter problems that I wanted them to do in the beginning. And this was amazing. This was game changing. So I had to kind of change the way I use Mindtap, the publisher content. I was able to go back and assign these problems, the ones that I could pick out, the ones that I could make sure were correct. It was amazing. And so I did that, and it was really the best method. And I still employ this method, again, because I've tested it. I know everything's correct. I know what they're being tested on. I know it correlates back to the material they're responsible for, the PowerPoints, the book, all of that. And so I switched the way I used it, and that might be something you need to do. And then also, if you're not using, if you haven't worked through your publisher content, you need to. You need to know what your students are going through. You need to go through all of it. I know it's time consuming, believe me, I know, but it's the best method, in my opinion, fair way to do it as well. And the cool thing is I use these problems. If they were assigned them on homework, there's a high chance they're going to see something very similar to those also on their test. So there's an incentive there to pay attention and to work hard to do those homework problems. And also, let me see, I had another note here. Let me find what it was. The great thing about this, and I don't know if this might help some of you in your disciplines, but the homework assignments that I'm able to select for them now are all algorithmic. So what does that mean? That means we all have, including myself, we all have the same problem, yet slightly different numbers. So I can work a problem, show them how to do it. The student can now take that methodology, that series of how I worked it, and work their own problem. They can't cheat. No one has the same number. They don't even have the same as me. So it really makes them put forth the effort, and I love that. So love the algorithmic option there. And hopefully maybe you have something like that could help you too. But speaking of Mindtap, there's one other thing I want to mention because, I've learned to adapt it from their program to adapt to my needs and the students' needs. But one thing I had a problem with, and still do, and on a lot of publisher content, is the overload. How much is too much? Because technology, it can be a great and effective tool for learning, but and also increasing engagement and material attention. It's got a great use, but again, how much is too much? So if you look at the screen, you can actually see this is all these assignments are just for chapter 1, and it doesn't even show all of them. That's a lot, if they're expected to read a book, do this, do that, do this, do that. Too much, right? And the thing is, what if you're not testing them, but on maybe 30% of those assignments, the ones that really matter? You don't want to overload the students. They're not going to pay attention. They're not going to do it. They're going to feel overwhelmed, which leads to more anxiety about the class. I say focus on a few select assignments or videos, whatever you have there, but don't overload them because it can just be too much, honestly. let's see. And this can be done with, actually the overload is not just, to me, pertaining to our publisher content. We can do that with all kinds of technological apps and requirements. So I think that's going to lead into this next slide. I use every now and then, just to break it up, I'll use an outside app. And I like this one. It's entitled Socrates. It's free. It's easy. If I ever want them to use an outside app, it's a good test taker or a short little quiz, or, did they understand this concept? And you can use it for grades. You can use it for you. Just make sure you were able to communicate a concept through to your students. Socrates, love it, cheap, easy. And on this slide, I actually made a video, however, that just kind of shows you the way of how to download it on your desktop if you would like. There's also a link down here. If you're interested, you can go through and do that as well. And this is from there's two sides to it, of course, the teacher and then the student perspective. So this next slide is actually just the same thing. However, it's from the student perspective. And I actually download both and do tests so I can make sure what I intended to create is actually what the student sees. So I even have it on my phone and can do the apps, do the quiz creations, concept understanding questions. I can do that on my phone even in class if I wanted to. Or, if you just want to give the students a little something else besides your publisher content, it's a great, easy little tool. I just thought I would share. Don't want to spend too much time on it. Okay, so this is something that really is important to me. And for this, it's the narrated PowerPoint slides. And again, I really did this because I try to put myself in the student's perspective. What did I like? What helps me as a student learn and retain material? For me, it's PowerPoint slides. I know that's kind of basic, but I had my students, they have all this publisher content, these assignments. And again, you don't want to overload, so I'm careful not to do that. But I just made some basic PowerPoint lectures, so it would be the same as if they were able to attend in class. And this is really helpful for my hybrid or blended classes because they would get up to 70 students. I would even give them the option of if they're the type of student that wanted a mostly online class, then they don't have to come to all the optional dates where I do lectures. And even if they want to see it live, they could see it live. If they wanted to view it on their own time, they could listen to the videoed presentation of my lectures. And so when I first started doing these narrated PowerPoint presentations, I was really old-fashioned in how to do PowerPoint, and I would actually narrate over each slide. However, things are much nicer now. Technology is amazing. And again, Chris's online certified online instructor class helps you go over all this if you have questions. But Kaltura, I love. It's so easy to do. Online recorded lectures. Love it. So this is just like a screenshot of some of the PowerPoints that I've created. And another cool thing about these Kaltura lectures that I've recorded is that you can add closed captioning to them, which is great for our disability standards that we need to meet and to accommodate. So you can put closed captioning on all the videos. You can also even create bookmarks. So if a student has a question about a particular segment, they don't have to go through the whole PowerPoint slide. They can just go to that bookmark and hear more on that topic. So it's really, really amazing, great stuff. Love Kaltura. So this is something I do. And actually, I need to go through and update some of my old PowerPoint lectures and do them in Kaltura as well. But let's keep going. Okay. The other thing I do with publisher content, again, I said my course, this finance course, is very, very, very heavy in math. So one other thing I should mention, the finance course, personal financial planning. Okay, it's an elective for all business majors. It's an elective for all majors. However, it's actually a requirement for the family and consumer science majors. They want them to have a foundation in this field and in a couple other business courses. And so it is a requirement for them. So in this course, I kind of juggle between a juggle between going from, is it too easy for business students and too hard for the family consumer science majors who have no exposure to a lot of these topics, time value of money, taxes, accounting, balance sheets, all these different things. So I really struggle between creating a class that isn't too easy for our business majors, but also isn't too hard for our family and consumer science majors. And so with that, I have a lot of students, not all, our business students have questions too, but a lot of them are family and consumer science majors who need help, who need additional help understanding some of these concepts because they're brand new, they're tough. And so what I do is actually, if I have a student come to me with a homework question, I always help them as best I can. If I have 2 students come to me, my thinking is that if 2 students in the class have this question, there are many more that have this question. So I make a homework video, which is the left video on the screen. I have a little homework video that I create. I work the problem, and remember, it being algorithmic, we all have the same problem, just slightly different numbers, but every step will be the exact same for me, for Susie, for Joe. It's the exact same procedure. So, this has been a great tool. I've got a lot of feedback from students saying they really appreciate that. And the really, another part about this, the really helpful thing is if I make a video for a problem that students are having trouble with, the odds are good that they may see that same problem on a test because I use some of these problems, algorithmic problems, for their test. So that's like a big hint, pay special attention to this video, know how to work this problem. And so that's been really well received too, I think. Even while I'm using the publisher content, you're able to create some relationships there, some help there, some value added. And I have a little link right here. This is why I didn't share my PowerPoint in Teams. I was just going to show you a quick example in case you're curious, in case you haven't done it. So this is like a page for all the Chapter 3 material. I have the narrated PowerPoint, which, sorry, I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I have a narrated PowerPoint here, and I had several questions. This was a tough chapter. So I made 2 homework videos, and you can see, I'm just using my Surface and my little Surface pen to do this. It's amazing, very helpful, great stuff. All right. So let me exit out this. Just wanted to show you that. And again, if you have any questions, you can look at the online at JSU materials. It's very helpful. I'm happy to help as well. And of course, online at jsu.edu is a great resource to call upon. So those are the homework help videos. Yeah, this is really lame on my part, but just try to relate to your students. Memes, they're a great breakdown to barriers in the classroom for me. They also help keep students awake, so I'll throw them in a random point in the PowerPoint, just make sure they're awake. So memes, just shoot them. Don't be that professor that doesn't have any communication with their students, with his or her students, unless they have a problem. Just shoot them a fun meme every now and then. Make sure they're okay. Try to relate it to the material they're studying. There's a meme for everything, so you have no excuse. Just try to, break down, personalize this class some. It really, really helps, and it helps the students feel that they can come to you when they do have questions, which is the goal, honestly. Yeah, that's pretty much my life right now. How I think I look teaching online and how I really look crazy. And you should see some of my videos. It's hair everywhere. It's a chaos. No makeup. But, okay. Sorry, just one sec. My son. Okay. Sorry, we're good. My husband sent me a text about my son. Sorry for that. Actually, he came in to get my attention to look at my phone because I wasn't going to look. But all is okay. We'll continue. Okay. Availability to students. So this is something extra. I think it's about going that extra step, especially when you have an online learning environment coupled with using publisher content. You really, really need to try to connect and be available to those students. So response rate to your email, that's something I would add to my presentation that I think is really important. Now, when I first started teaching, it was just me. I had no life. Not that I have one now, but I had all the time in the world. I had no real responsibilities. It was just myself. And so I was like, bam, 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 to answer emails. I was on top of it. I kind of have an OCD about it. I don't know if any of y'all do, where I need to, I can't stand I always keep my phone in the email, like my Outlook is on here. And if I see if I see an email that I haven't addressed, it's like OCD. I got to answer. I got to respond. And so I was really great at doing that. Then life happens, things happen. You get married, you have a baby, you have a puppy. Life happens, and I can't quite be that responsive. However, I do tell students, and I tell them this in the syllabus. I make a video as a welcome to let them know, hey, this is my life. I promise I'll get back to you within at least 24 hours. That's my goal, always 24 hours. I do tell them that during the weekend, you probably won't hear from me, so it'll be that Monday. You can set your limits, and as long as your students know where you stand and what to expect from you, I've never had any problems. And I just think that's a good thing to set forth at the beginning of class, so they have that expectation. Open dialogue, make sure I always, try to end my students' emails with don't hesitate to come to me if you have any questions, because I want them to feel that type of environment. You could do that with your announcements also, even on your page. Just reassure them, hey, you've got this and this publisher assignment, this and this to look forward to, but don't hesitate to come to me with any questions. Make that open dialogue, put forth that effort. Office hours, okay, I'm not doing too great on office hours right now, honestly, with chaos, but if you can, set forth a dedicated time to where you're there on Teams, able to help if they have a question. I think that's a great idea, especially given our online situation, especially if you're using publisher content. Great idea, especially at the beginning of a class. I'm actually seeing right now with the class that started yesterday, students are having a lot of questions. So, to have that dedicated time to have them all come together, and you can show them, whatever you need, answer questions. Again, odds are if one person has a problem, another person may have that same problem. So it's just a great thing to do. Extra credit opportunities relevant to content. Again, if you're just using publisher content, you got to find some way to create some interaction. I like to do bonuses, luckily with my topic, my course, I can find a news article any day of the week. I can find 10 on a topic that we're covering on personal finance. It's super easy to have fun, creative assignments for them to do as bonus or to do as points. Just find a way. And again, I love The Office, so I had to put an Office meme in there. So anyway, office hours, the wrong office hours. I think it's cute. Anyway, also caveat, if you read it, the MF, it actually stands for Mr. Funny, not probably what you're thinking. So this is a great way just to kind of add that relational teaching focus to the online class, to the class that's using publisher content. This is something I'm not really going to spend too much time on, but we are seeing an increase in online courses or blended courses, and with that we're seeing an increase in publisher content. So this is something we really need to be focused on, especially going in, sorry my nose is running, especially going into the fall of 2020 when we have the unknown future. So we're going to kind of skip over that. Okay, so I've showed you some of my tactics really from a course that I've spent 6 years working on. But guess what, guys? Yeah, I'm also in the same boat as you on other courses. I had to figure out a way to quickly convert my 2 lecture courses, which I actually had 4 sections of these courses, from lecture to online. They've never been online before, so there's no precedent there. During COVID-19, I've been able to get 1 course, thanks to Chris, on the Certified Online Instructor series. I've been able to get 1 course down, but now I'm still in the same boat of trying to get another course that's never been online, that's heavy in guest speakers, that's heavy in guest presentations, trying to convert it online. So basically what I'm saying, guys, is I still know how you feel. Even though I just gave you a lecture on doing this, I'm also in the same boat as you, starting over with a new course. I'm actually, for the course I used in my Certified Online Instructor program, it's my 115 course, the Business Fundamentals course. And I actually was just able to secure brand new publisher content from McGraw-Hill. So I'm using their online program called Connect 2.0. It was just released June 1st. We were one of the first classes actually using it. So I had to learn that program. I had to learn, I'm used to Cengage, Mindtap. I had to learn McGraw-Hill, figure out what I'm doing there. And then I had to figure out how am I going to use it in my course and how am I going to use it in a course that's solely online right now. So I've been there. And with that, I wanted to show you this screen. It really just goes over, these are my first two publisher content modules. You'll see the fundamentals of business, and then the fundamentals of economics and types of markets. So I didn't know, my ideas of doing the narrated PowerPoint, doing this, doing that, it's all great. But sometimes you don't have time to get all that together. We just have to start now and start building it up and getting it better and better as we go. So what I did is I did a welcome page that has a couple videos that look kind of like this. And I'm actually going to take you to that page and just show you, guys, I'm right there with you. Practice what I preach. I haven't had the time yet to go in and record all of the lectures. I would like to for the PowerPoints. But what I did do is I made two videos. One focuses on how to complete this module's assignments, because this is the first module using publisher content. These students are new to it. So I literally go in and show them, step by step, here's what to do. It's got narration to it, telling them what to click on, so on and so on. How to get started, how to buy the software, what this assignment's going to look like. Be aware this is one of the harder ones. I just basically go in and give an explanation to that. Let me get out of that. Let me stop that. Okay. So, exit. There we go. So, it's just about putting forth some effort and thinking of ways you can connect. I also did a second video very similar to the way I did the first one. And on that one, all I did was kind of give them a welcome to the module. Here's what we're going to be going over. Here's the important topics. Here's what you can expect. Here's the things you need to pay attention to. That type of video. And I also, I'm going to go to a separate point. My welcome start here module. Again, this is a course that I'm new to that's using publisher content. So I really wanted to make that connection, put forth that effort, try to knock down some of those barriers that a lot of students have when taking an online course. And again, a lot of these students are taking an online course because they have to, not because they want to right now. So keep that in mind. I did a welcome video. I'm not going to show you that because I look pretty rough, but it suffices. And I did even a directions to how to purchase the material. So these are just some small ideas. Again, these are just small ideas of how to get started if you're using publisher content. I know it's not easy to get everything done in 1 second. It takes time to really build and make that class amazing. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so I found two really good quotes that kind of preach. I tell myself, I'm like, it's okay, Amy, it's okay. It will get better. You will get better. But these are two great quotes that kind of make me feel a little bit better about my current situation, trying to convert my classes online versus the one class I've been teaching online for 6 years. So just want to give that little, hey, it's okay, condolences, encouragement, whatever you want to call it, out there. And that's pretty much it for the presentation. You're welcome to email me anytime. I'm going to go ahead and take my stop sharing my screen. I'm going to stop sharing it and hand it over to Chris, but I will post this presentation in our files here on Teams so that you can access it if you want it for whatever reason. I don't know. You're welcome to it. And let's see, let me get to Teams and I'm going to stop sharing. All right, stop sharing and hand it back over to Chris if you're there.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions for Amy? This is a quiet bunch today.
Wow, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, Amy. Yeah, Amy is not going to beg for people to ask her questions. So, if no one has any questions for Amy, that's perfectly okay. If you do have any, feel free to email her or contact online at JSU. Amy, thank you for coming today. Yeah. We really appreciate your insights.
Absolutely.
And it was fantastic information. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Hope it was helpful.